Welcome back to the next episode of the VYPEU podcast. I'm here joined by my partner, Will Turboff. Tim Kane is not in the building today, but we got some great stuff in store. We got soccer, we got baseball, we got track, we got some football recruiting news. We got a lot to say today. Will, how you doing?
Yeah, pretty good. Soccer's wrapping up. Still a lot of off-season football going on, like you said, so not as many sports going on right now. Sometimes it seems like high school sports get a little dry without football, but there's still a lot of fun stuff going on.
Well, I have to agree with you, but when high school sports are like this, and you're kind of driven to go research some sports that you're really not used to, it not only helps you learn more about the sport, but it helps you just become a harder worker and become just garner a love of sports in general a lot more. Would you say?
Yeah, I would say so for sure.
Well, let's dive right in. Let's just kick it off. I'll start with soccer real quick. We have the playoffs going on right now. Strake Jesuit, who had only lost 3 games and had 3 ties their whole entire season. They took on Channelview at home this past Tuesday night, and it actually went to penalty kicks. It was late in this, with 7 minutes left in regular time. Jesuit was down 2-1, and Hayden Fetzer, going to play soccer at Trinity next year, saw a ball right directly facing the center of the goal, and he just nailed a beautiful kick from about 25 yards out. Game goes to extra time, still no score, penalties. Channelview beats Jesuit 4-3.
Yeah, there's a few other games going on right now as we're recording this. I know Friendswood beat Galena Park, so it seems like there's a lot of good competition really on the outskirts of Houston, but I think there's 4 or 5 teams left in the area. We'll see how it ends up here.
Well, you mentioned Friendswood. Well, not only are they kind of doing well, if you're in the playoffs, you're doing good, obviously, but not only are they doing well in soccer right now, don't you? I hear you have a little bit, quite a bit to say on them for baseball.
Yeah, so Friendswood is 5A, but currently they are the number 2 team in the state of Texas. Lake Travis is ranked number 12. Some of the other teams in Texas that are ranked are Reagan and San Antonio and Tompkins. So there's 4 teams in the state of Texas in the top 25. I think in those first max prep ratings, there were none. So Friendswood is their best player is Isaac Pacheco, who's one of the nation's top recruit. VYPE did a story on him a couple months ago. He actually committed to A&M in 8th grade. A lot of people were worried that he wouldn't stick to it or he wouldn't really pan out in high school, but he knew that was the place for him. And man, he has become something that a lot of people couldn't have expected. But that team is just loaded with recruits. They've got an outfielder named Kevin Newkirk, who goes to Blinn, Maseo Cantu, who's their catcher. He's going to Doane University. Their first baseman, Boost Landry, is going to Oklahoma State. So just all of a sudden, Friendswood, they came out of nowhere. I think they went up 1 spot in the last few weeks. But like I said, no teams on those first few rankings, and all of a sudden Texas baseball is starting to heat up. But we talked about Tompkins a lot in football, and then we talked about them on the last episode for baseball. They're doing pretty well, aren't they?
Yeah, they're shining for sure. Almost just as well as Friendswood is right now. The Falcons are currently 20-2-1, and they've been called quote unquote the most exciting team on turf. They're led by a couple standout players that lead the team and are going to play Division I baseball next year in the NCAA. They have a star infield, Graydon West. He's going to Rice. We all know that Rice is a power, pretty much I would say a baseball equivalent of a blue blood that you would see in NCAA basketball. Wayne Graham's just a legend. Meanwhile, Tompkins, they also have Will Stark going to Wichita State. And he's going to be joining Jack Little. And then we have our 6'6" VYPE cover boy, Jace LaViolette, who plays center field. He's going to LSU next year. Just
Yeah.
all in all, lots of talent on the team.
Yeah, that guy is just massive. He's physically intimidating, and when he stepped up to us, I was like, man, that's a big guy. But there's another team down in San Antonio that we were talking about earlier, Reagan, and we don't cover San Antonio sports that much just because they don't have a lot of powerhouse teams in any sports. But Reagan's doing pretty well, right?
Right, yeah. Their team, they've reached they reached 3 title games since 2014, but no wins. Maybe this year, they're back in the loop of the top 25. Maybe this is the year where they try to reclaim that one back. One of their players actually said that the goal is not to try to make another state title game, but to actually win it, which is pretty obvious. But if you're one of the long time coaches who's been at Reagan and you lost 3 championships, I can only imagine the frustration that you would have on your mind of just getting so close to that one point and then not being able to capitalize. But maybe this is the year. They have Colt Haber and Ryan Baird. They've been stars on the team this year. The squad is currently 15-1 with another top team in San Antonio, Texas. It's actually Churchill.
Yeah, so they won 15-1 over Churchill. Their record is 18-2 right now. They only have one district loss and one out of district loss. So another great year. Like Robert said, they've been a powerhouse for about 10 years now. And the team that seems to always be number one in the Austin area is Lake Travis. They went up one spot from 13 to 12 this week. They've just continued dominating every highlight video that I saw from their game in the last few weeks. The score's something crazy like 13-0, 12-1, something like that. But they've got a pitcher there who I'm sure is on a lot of big boards for the MLB draft. Ethan Rourke. He threw a one-hitter against San Marcos, and then I think he's had a few other performances in the last few weeks. 2 hits. I think maybe he already got a no-hitter at some point this year.
Well, here's something I just have to say about high school baseball in general, as I've kept myself a little bit more in the loop since covering media for VYPE, is that unlike football and unlike basketball, baseball is a sport where your team can be really good, but you don't always need that star Division I player on the team. You can have a couple. We see a lot of these names that we've been reading off. Going to schools like Blinn College, Wichita State, Doane University. If you have a team, maybe you have 1 or 2 good Division I players who are going to go play at a Power 5 school, but then you have also on the team players who are going to go play at Division III, junior colleges. If you have those are players who maybe they're not top ranked in the state or the nation, but they know how to play the game. So if you have athletes who just know what they're doing, I think that your team is pretty much in good hands. That's pretty much what you need for a baseball team. You don't always need those 5 stars, those 4 stars to be leading your team in every single game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it seems like, with baseball, there's not really a widespread recruiting page. You can't just log on to 24/7 or a website like that and get the who's the top recruit in Houston or in Texas or in the nation. You really got to dig for that. And that's why I think when scouts go out to these games, they're not just looking at one player, they're looking at the whole team. And personally, we've seen guys come through our school that aren't really flashy, and now we've got 2 starting it. 2 players from Strike Jesuit are starting at the University of Texas this year.
We have Dylan Campbell and Zach Zubia.
That's right.
We can't forget about pitcher at Baylor, Drew Leach. We both actually got a chance to interview him last year.
Yeah, and we also have our District 23 6A pole vaulting champion, Robert Gonsolin, on right now. Congratulations, Robert.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. Yeah, I went into our district track meet today, and I was looking to, the coaches, they really wanted us to at least qualify for area today, and came in around 9.5 feet just to make sure I you know, myself and credit to my two teammates pole vaulting out there today. We were kind of seemed to be on the upper end of who was going to be jumping higher. We were seated higher than three other Dawson kids, and our coaches just wanted us to at least qualify for area, so we came in at lower heights to stay on the safe side. And then once I was the only one left, I wanted to go and try to get a new personal best that I've been chasing for pretty much 2 years now, 13 feet. Finally got it today on my second attempt, and I'm pretty stoked about it.
Yeah, and I just read your article a few hours ago, just on the track and field scene in the Houston area. So you want to talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, not just Houston, but Texas is really standing out this year nationally for track and field in terms of all the different athletes we have. We have in the 800 meters down in Brazos, a kid from down in Brazoswood, Robert Whitmarsh. He is the fastest 800-meter runner in the nation right now. He runs a 1 minute and 50-second 800. He almost runs a 149, which is breaking the 200 or the 800, which is 2 laps by under 2 minutes, is so hard in itself that people just runners struggle to break that barrier every week. And to do it by almost 10 seconds, it's pretty impressive. Meanwhile, he was just a couple weeks ago the fastest 400 runner and 200 runner in the nation. He goes to Colleen Shoemaker. We're actually planning to have him on the podcast. Kamari Tyrell, really, he's really claiming this fame, for Texas at track and field, claiming the fame that Matthew Bowling was claiming 2 years ago. Even though he's not putting up the same numbers, he's leading he's leading in the 400. He's leading in the 200. His team was top in the nation in the 4x1 just a couple weeks ago. We've got some really, really good athletes standing out.
Yeah. I'm not a big track and field guy, but even I had seen some pretty crazy headlines, and we saw him a couple of years ago with bowling, and it seems like it's continuing this year with a few of the guys that you said.
You knew that bowling, he actually won the SEC indoor for the 200
Yeah,
meters.
I saw that.
Yeah, I saw that one picture on his Instagram of him, his celebration at the end. He was screaming, and he looked very, very excited, almost kind of how I reacted when I got over 13 feet today.
Well, yeah, go ahead, Robert.
No, I think I was going to cut you off, but you go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say that we are going to talk about my favorite sport now, Texas high school football, year-round sport.
My favorite too.
And boy, was there a headline this past week. Chad Morris has been hired as the new head coach down there in Allen. Terry Gamble stepped down like 2 weeks ago. The Allen ISD said, we don't have a list. This is going to take a while. We're going to see everyone that's interested. And a lot of people said, that's not true. They know who they want. And a lot of people had Morris over that. Or Bryles was another name that was floating around. But obviously, they went with this guy. And if David Francis from VYPE has a really great article on kind of the Chad Morris saga since leaving Lake Travis in 2009. He was an offensive coordinator at Clemson. He was the head coach at SMU and Arkansas. And he was the offensive coordinator at Auburn before Gus Malzahn got fired. And I think a lot of people hate on this guy because he wasn't very successful as a head coach in college, but he was just an amazing head coach in high school. He has a record of 167 and 40 in high school, 2 straight undefeated seasons in Lake Travis in 08 and 09. That's when Garrett Gilbert was there. So Allen is looking to get back in the championship picture. Obviously, they'd like a player like Kyler when they won 3 straight. Maybe that'll happen.
Hasn't it?
Yeah, they just churn out talent there. I know another one of their recruits has been named a 5-star, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later on. Some new ratings throughout the couple recruiting websites.
Well, Will, before we dive in a little bit more, do you want to talk a little bit about your Elite 11 experience?
Yeah, boy, Elite 11, the talent there was it was just incredible. I think there were guys from about 6 or 7 different states. Walker Howard from Louisiana, Devin Brown from Arizona. Those two guys are some of the top recruits in the nation. They came here. Both of those guys got invites to the finals, Elite 11, which is down there in Oregon. Where the Nike plant is, and Bridgeland boy, Connor Weigman, also got an invite. He looked just incredible out there. It was the first time that I've actually seen him play. Actually, I saw him playing 7-on-7, but just throwing, and everyone's looking at him on this field. That no one could concentrate on anything else. He just demands kind of just that respect. He's a big guy, and he is gonna do well in whichever sport he decides to play.
Well, I heard that a couple class of 2023 kids were also there. Was one of my favorite players to watch Caleb Koger? Was he in attendance?
Caleb Koger was there, and I'd let him know that you were sending him your best. Yeah, Caleb Koger was there. Duke Butler, who is going to take over for Kyron Jones down there in Shadow Creek, was there. Yeah, so 2023 really showed out, and there were a lot of guys that really looked better than some of the big name recruits from 22, and even some guys from 2024. There's a guy named JT Fayard, who he's not ranked at all. He's only played a handful of games. I'm not even sure if he was on the varsity team at all at Foster, but he's got offers from Alabama, LSU, Oklahoma, and Texas, I think. So I talked to him after, and it's just crazy that he has got these connections, and he's already become a big name recruit like that. So look out for Foster in the next couple of years, probably in the 2022 and 2023 seasons, because this guy looked amazing out there, and I had to get to know him. But yeah, Robert, like I was saying earlier, there's been some updated recruiting profiles. Ruben Owens, who's going to be the top running back in the class of 2023, at least for Texas, has been upgraded to a 5-star. He's good friends with Jaden Blue, who we've covered before at Klein Kane. Both those guys are going to Texas. The Sark effect is real, don't you think, Robert?
Oh yeah, for sure. That's where I'll be in attendance for college next year, and I'm very happy about this new coach who's coming to the 40 acres.
Yeah, they lost Milrow, they lost Ewers. Seems like they've got their guy in Malik Murphy. I know their season is going on right now in California, so hopefully this guy actually sticks with Texas because they really need a win. I think this season is going to be tough for you guys.
Look, I'm not making a hot take on anything. This is not a hot take because I don't really think it's going to happen, but it's a long shot. Sorry, I can't even put my words out. It's a long shot, but if I'm Texas, I'm hoping to keep that win, even though he's already committed to a big time college football school, great school. I'm keeping that window open for Klubnik.
Keeping that window. See, I thought you were gonna say Ewers because so many people have stuck on to the fact that Ewers is gonna flip back to Texas. No. Klubnik he's as we're speaking right now, he is on his way to Clemson. He's gonna stick. There's no way. You'll be happy.
I'm not saying I don't think it's gonna happen. I'm not saying it is, but I'm saying keep the window open. You never know what could happen. I thought Klubnik was gonna go Texas A&M.
I did too, and then Weigman went ahead and committed, and that. So I talked to Klubnik, and seemed like doors were shutting when we talked to him the last time, just because the 2022 quarterbacks were starting to commit. But Clemson is about as good of an offer as you can get, maybe behind Bama. Just a team that's always going to be up there. So we know about 5 guys that are going to start at some point on the collegiate level.
Well, meanwhile, let's go back to the class of 2023. Morton Ranch is a defensive tackle, David Hicks. He's another prospect in the Houston area, top 5 for that class.
Yeah,
Will, I know you have some stuff to say about him.
Yeah, we're hoping to have David Hicks on in the next few weeks. I watched his tape just a few minutes after hearing that this guy went from not being ranked at all, just like a lot of these 2023 guys. As scouts are starting to see them, and journalists like us are starting to see them. This guy's insane, and he deserves to be that high. And I know he's trying to stick right there at number 5 and even get a little bit higher in the Texas rankings.
Yeah, he's a multi-sport athlete. He plays basketball. He also does discus and shot put. A lot of these guys who are just studs in the football field, these big offensive defensive linemen, there are many of them who, going back to track just for a second, there are many of them who prioritize throwing just as much as they do football. I know Bryce Foster, I think I'd have to say for sure, like 95%, I think football is his main priority. I don't know the guy, but I think he's going to go throw at Texas A&M too. You can go check out his Instagram. There's videos of him throwing. He's actually ranked first right now in the discus, first in the nation. They're calling him the Mountain Man right now. I've picked up on that recently. I think it's because of his facial hair and just how big and strong he is.
Yeah, there's a coach that I'm familiar with in this area, Coach Mike West, and he often tweets out, go play track. So many of these guys, so they've learned that the recruiters love. They say, give me your 40 time. What events do you compete in? Just staying active that whole year, it really helps these guys in staying on a team. It seems like some of the best athletes. I know that guy, that running back at A&M, was really a better track star at Fort Bend Marshall a couple of years ago.
Fort Bend Marshall, they're great at track.
Right.
Well, our guy who we're bringing on, Kamari Tyrell, like I said, one of the top runners in the nation. He's a football player too, and if he's looking to do football in college, maybe we can help him out a little bit on our podcast to get some exposure. There's a lot of talent out there that's I'll even use the word from the list I saw today that our guy Craig Royal's on. A lot of talent that is undiscovered right now.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, and we are now joined by Ridgepoint defensive lineman David Hicks. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Yeah, I'm sure you're feeling great this week. You had your recruiting profile updated, and now you're a top 5 talent in the state of Texas, number 31 in the class of 2023 for the entire nation. So what was your first reaction to finding out that you were ranked so high?
Well, actually, I was at lunch and my friend just ran up to me and was like, yo, you're like a 5-star and 24/7, you're like ranked 31 in the nation. I was like, you're lying, because I just looked on there yesterday and didn't say anything. And then he showed it to me and I was just as excited. So
were you surprised? Did you have any conversations with people over there about having your profile updated, or did it just kind of come out of the blue?
I heard people were saying that I was going to be a top defensive lineman in Texas, but I wasn't expecting to actually be that high ranked up on the charts.
Yeah, and just to go from 0 to that high is really crazy. And we've seen a lot of guys in your class just make that jump all of a sudden. They're starting to update things. But you had some offers. You had a bunch of offers before that even came out. You had some during the season. TCU, SMU, Arizona State, Grambling State was the first offer that you got, right?
Texas Southern was the first offer I got.
But you have a connection to Grambling, right?
Yes, sir. My dad used to play for Grambling.
And he's your coach right now, right? He's your defensive line coach?
Yes, he's our defensive line coach.
You guys ever get into it at practice?
So a little bit, sometimes.
Well, since the season has ended, you've gotten, let's just say, some bigger offers than what you had in the last couple months. A&M, Oklahoma, University of Texas, Bama, LSU, Florida, and just a few minutes before we started this interview, I saw that you got an offer from USC. Has anybody stood out in the recruiting process that you think you might be leaning towards?
Not yet. I'm waiting till the summer to go see all the schools. Then that's probably when I'll know.
Are you planning on starting the visits this summer?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you've got 2 more years of high school ball left. What are you going to do to stick at this level? Because we see a lot of guys in their sophomore year, they get ranked really high and they're excited and they kind of think, if I just keep playing the way I'm playing, there's, I'm only going to get higher. But we've seen before that these rankings change all the time, and you may not be seen as a high profile player. So what are you going to do? How have you been progressing in the off season to make sure that you keep improving your game?
Me and my dad wake up earlier every day, work out. I make sure I stay with my hand work and stuff. And I make sure I just stay on what I got to do, stay on top of what I have, because I know it can get taken away in a minute. So I got to prove to everybody that I am who I am.
Yeah, absolutely. And you have your dad as a big inspiration. And when you hear defensive linemen at Morton Ranch, a lot of people that were paying attention to high school football about 10 years ago, I remember a guy named Daniil Hunter, who is now in the NFL. Have you had any conversations with him?
I met him one time. My trainer actually trains him sometimes. So, yeah, I met him one time. Daniil is a pretty cool person. So,
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be hearing a lot more about you in the next couple of years, the way you're playing right now. And you compared yourself to Von Miller in another interview that I saw. And you can play a lot of different roles in the defense. Just talk a little bit about that and how you're so versatile on that side of the ball.
Well, I think I know which interview you're talking about. When I compare myself to Von Miller, I was a little bit more skinnier and more fast than I am now. Oh, sorry. Now I would say I play more like Aaron. I feel like I'll try to mimic my game after Aaron Donald because he, just the way he plays, like every single play, he's gonna bring it every single play, and I know I will bring it every single play if you put me in the right positions. So I would say like, yeah. So I know I could play anywhere on the defensive line. I know I could play defensive tackle, defense end. So I could bring a lot of stuff to the table with that.
Yeah, you're about 6'4", 250 right now, right?
Yes, sir. About right.
Yeah, that's you're big for a sophomore, and
Yeah.
looking at your tape, you're just extremely athletic. Do you play track and you play basketball? Do you think staying year round kind of helps you in football?
Yes, sir, most definitely, because it helps me stay agile, helps me with my footwork and all that. So
Yeah, you play at a school right now, Morton Ranch, which is not generally the best school in the district. We'll say that. Do you think there's any reason that could change in the next couple of years?
yes, we have a good coaching staff and we have a good young talent coming back in next year. So I really feel like next year we have a chance to go into the playoffs and not just go into the playoffs, but make a run.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying that there may be a little window right now. Katie, obviously, they got a state championship, but a lot of people were down on them because they lost to Tompkins. Now Jalen Milrose gone. There's just so many great, talented players in District 19 right now. But you were second team all defensive line. Do you have a goal to be defensive MVP or first team this year?
Yes, sir. Most definitely. I'm trying to get first team this year. Try to get first team this year and then try to make Max Prep South American next year.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you look at the guys that were first team this past year, and all of them have offers. Some of them are already on their way right now. So if you're going to be second team all district in any district, that's a pretty good one. So you you've recently been named for Morton Ranch Leadership Council, and I love seeing that for guys that are great on the field. So what do you think makes you such a strong leader, not only on the field, but on campus too?
I will always push you. Like, if you're not giving 100%, I'll make sure that you get to 100%. And I always like helping people. Like my teammates, when they need help, they always come to me or they ask me if they don't ask the coaches. So that's just a big thing about me.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I really love hearing that. And you seem like a great guy. I can't wait to keep watching you throughout the next couple of years. So I appreciate you talking to me, man.
Yes, sir. No problem.
We'd like to thank our guests again for coming on this episode. Will and I we're glad that we were able to join together today and just talk a lot about high school sports, all the atmosphere that we love to in the conversations that we love to partake in. And we hope that you all can join next episode. As for Robert Gonsolin, I'm here with Will Turboff. Thank you.